USC pulls away from Washington State in the second half to remain undefeated. The running game shines, while the second half defense continues to dominate. We'll talk about all of that and more on this week's Trojan Game Review. Hey guys, welcome into this week's game review. Man, this USC team just keeps finding new ways to win. We've seen offensive explosions, we've seen defensive struggles, and I'd say that this week we got a much more balanced total team victory. The running game was absolutely fantastic, and the defense really stepped up and held this very good Washington State offense to just 14 points. Now, of course, it wasn't perfect. There are still some reoccurring issues with the run defense. The passing game on offense continues to be very hot and cold, but everybody did their part to ensure a Trojan win. Make sure you stick around until the end of this video for this week's edition of Boomer. But having said all that, let's dive into this game review, and as always, we'll start with the offense. Now, normally with these game reviews, when I talk about the offense, I always start with the quarterback play, but in this one, we are absolutely starting with Travis Dye. Now, if you have watched this channel, you know Travis Dye is my absolute favorite player on this team. I absolutely love that dude. Seeing him take over the way he did against Washington State was just awesome. I mean, you're talking about a 28 carry, 149 yard performance, and he also added a score. And it's not just the numbers either. How many critical third downs did Travis Dye pick up? He was the engine of this offense on Saturday night. His vision is just elite. He's a great blocker. He's so physical. We saw it again this week with the poor body language from Caleb Williams. We saw Travis Dye step up and be that true leader of the offense. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, in terms of culture and accountability, there was not a bigger acquisition this entire offseason than Travis Dye. Now, staying with the running backs for a second here, Austin Jones did get some playing time. He got blown up in pass pro yet again, and unless I missed something, I don't think he played another snap. We really need to get him up and going because the depth in that running back room is not there. Rayleigh Brown is still searching for that breakout game. I don't know why he's used so much as a traditional running back, especially with some of the quotes we heard this offseason. You thought he'd be in the slot a lot more, lined up at wideout, getting reverses and jet sweeps. His deployment so far this season remains a bit of a mystery. We still don't know if he's 100% healthy. Maybe that has something to do with it. Now moving over to Caleb Williams and the quarterback play. This was another up and down game for Caleb. There's moments of absolute brilliance, and then there's moments I'm sure Caleb would want back. Now let's get the negative stuff out of the way first. Caleb still struggles with making the easy play. I think we've seen this almost every week, where he has a check down available and he just won't throw it, or he throws it too late. Now, before I go any further, I do want to say that he's obviously far from a finished product. He's only like 19 years old, I think, so I'm not killing the kid or losing faith or any of that. And just another thing I've noticed is that it seems like he's pressing at times, like he's afraid to turn the ball over. When Caleb is playing loose and fearless, I think that's when he's at his best. It's also worth noting that the wideouts dropped multiple perfectly thrown balls that would have been first downs or touchdowns. Now going over the positives, another game where Caleb did not turn the ball over, so you always love to see that. Those two touchdown passes perfectly showcase how electric and special Caleb is. Those throws are just insane. We saw another awesome run by Caleb that featured a spin move. I don't know about you guys, but I get absolutely terrified when he takes off to run. I'd rather him just go out of bounds, to be completely honest. Now moving to the wideouts, Mario Williams had a huge game. He's so explosive and he's a much better route runner than I thought originally. The catch he made on that second touchdown was just extraordinary, being able to get his hands under the ball to clearly secure it. It was a pretty quiet day from Jordan Addison for his standards anyway, only having 3 catches for 37 yards. He got a little banged up in this game as well. Of course, he was able to finish the game, which is a good sign for this next week. Brendan Rice made some nice plays as well, hauling in 3 balls for 38 yards. I'm still waiting for a Brendan Rice breakout game. It just feels like it's coming. Now moving to the offensive line, and again we'll start with the negative first. I have no idea what's going on at left tackle. I assume Cortland Ford is still hurt, but since his injury, that left side has not been secure at all. Bobby Haskins is still banged up, as we saw in this game when he came out for a bit. Pass protection as a whole continues to be kind of an issue. Caleb was kind of running for his life again. And I don't blame that all entirely on that left tackle spot, but it definitely needs to be shored up going into this game at Utah. Now, moving to the positives, the run game was absolutely fantastic. This O-line is so nasty when they get to that second level. They were blasting the defensive linemen for Washington State off the ball. They were getting up to those linebackers and safeties and burying them. It was awesome to see. I loved what I saw from them in that regard. So overall, a pretty solid day from the offense, a bit more consistency from the passing game, and we're golden. Alright, now moving over to the defense. I'm just going to come out and say it. This defense is one of the more underrated units in the entire country. I mean, guys, this is a Washington State offense that is very explosive. In their last 3 games prior to the SC game, they scored 107 points total. This is a legit offense, and you held them to 14 points. Now, we know going back to the last staff how much of a disaster that third quarters and second halves in general were, but listen to some of these numbers provided by the wonderful Alicia De Artola on Twitter. Follow her if you don't already. But in the second half of games this season, USC is allowing just 3.09 yards per carry, holding opposing quarterbacks to 55% completion percentage, 0 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. And get this, USC has allowed 5 second half touchdowns. Only 1 of them have been in non-garbage time situations. Now, I knew our defense was playing well and really stepping up in the second half, but that's just legit stuff, guys. Now, what that suggests is that defensive coordinator Alex Grinch is making all of the right adjustments at the half and is completely shutting down the opponent's offense. We saw it again this week. Washington State couldn't do really much of anything coming out of the half. Now, is this run defense good? No. But this defense is absolutely crushing it in other areas on the field. Pressures, sacks, interceptions, just takeaways in general. Passing defense. They're the number 1 scoring defense in the conference, guys. I'm so sick of this narrative that the national media keeps pushing that this USC defense is just trash. It's not true at all. Use your eyes, look at the numbers. This defense is playing better than the offense is at the moment. Now, I do want to apologize that I have made it this far into the defensive segment without saying the name Tuli Tuipulotu. This man is an absolute monster. This was a 5 tackle, 4 tackle for loss, 3 sack absolute masterclass for Tuli. With Shane Lee and Kalen Bullock being out for this game, Tuli took it upon himself to destroy this Wazoo offensive line. And he did just that. He was absolutely unblockable. Another player that I want to highlight on that defensive line is Nick Figueroa. Nick makes plays. It's really simple. He needs to be on the field more. He and Tuli lining up next to each other is really exciting to watch. Those two have been playing together for a few years now. They really know how to play off each other. I would like to see that more for sure. Nick had 2 sacks on the day. He was very productive with the little opportunity he got. I would like to see him get more of those Corey Foreman reps next week at Utah. Now, moving to the secondary, we need to talk about Mekhi Blackman. He has been one of the most valuable players on this entire team so far this season. All he does is completely neutralize his side of the field. He is playing like a true number 1 shutdown corner, and that really takes so much pressure off of young players like Asire Wright, allowing them to get extra help on their side of the field. Mekhi absolutely blanketed his guy in this game. Cam Ward stopped looking in his direction by the second half. The only real negative in this game on the defensive side is the run defense, and I don't think that's on the scheme or the coaching staff. I just don't believe we have the personnel on the interior of the defensive line to be a solid run-stopping defense. I love our defensive ends and edge guys, but the guys we have at nose tackle and defensive tackle just aren't up to the quality that a team like USC needs. Now, moving to special teams, Lincoln Riley knew the special teams were going to cost us big time if they didn't get fixed, and this was by far the best special teams performance we have seen on the year. Aiden Sleep Dalton's punting has gotten better each and every week. Dennis Lynch is still consistently knocking his kicks in, and the return game on both sides looked exponentially better. Whatever they did last week of practice to tighten things up, let's hope they keep doing it because I was very pleased with what I saw. So now just some final thoughts. USC is 6-0 and feeling great. I thought for sure we would have dropped a game or 2 by this point. I'm absolutely amazed by the job this coaching staff has done. Alex Grinch should be a favorite for the Coordinator of the Year award, in my opinion. The step that this defense has taken from last year to this year cannot be understated. Now, coming up, this is a really big week for USC with the showdown in Salt Lake City. USC really needs to use this week to get healthy. Shane Lee, Justin Dietich, Bobby Haskins, Travis Dye probably need some rest. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this week's game review. Thank you all so much for listening. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Fight on. And for the 3rd week in a row, Boomer.